Welcome everyone. Before we dive in, be sure to check our previous videos, as well as drop your thoughts, feelings, and lessons in the comments. Like the video and subscribe so you never miss stories like this. Let's get into it. Darius Cole was the kind of black man people moved aside for, without knowing why. 6'2", built from years of construction work in Detroit winters. Forearms roped with muscle, chest broad under faded union hoodies. He was a site supervisor, the one who kept cranes, deadlines, and hot tempers in line. He liked simple things: jazz on vinyl, a plate of wings, a woman who said what she meant. He hated liars, games, and anyone who wasted time. In his head, love was supposed to be work, but honest work. Malik Turner was the opposite kind of strong. A black man with slender pianist hands and careful posture. He taught high school English in the city and wrote poetry late at night. His muscles came from morning runs and weekend basketball, not steel beams. He liked books that made him cry, old neo-soul playlists, and deep conversations over lemon pepper wings. He hated raised voices, sarcasm that cut too deep, and feeling like second choice. He told his students love should feel like safety, like a soft place to land after the world bit you. Amara Blake walked into both of their lives, carrying the kind of beauty that made people forget their own names. A dark-skinned black woman with warm brown eyes and a heart-shaped face. She wore her curls in a glossy bob, laid edges sharp as a line of poetry. She was a marketing strategist, always in fitted blazers and heels that clicked like punctuation. She liked attention, admiration, and options. She hated feeling controlled, criticized, or ignored. Amara believed love was a stage, and if you were going to be on it, you had better perform. Darius met her first at a community fundraiser for a youth center renovation. He stood by the blueprint display, explaining load-bearing walls to board donors, when Amara glided up, lipstick the color of ripe cherries. She asked thoughtful questions about the kids, not the bricks, and laughed when he stumbled over his words. He felt something move in his chest, something heavy and hopeful. By the end of the night, she had his number, tucked into her phone with a smiley face. He drove home imagining wedding receptions, not knowing she'd left with 3 numbers, not one. Malik met her 2 weeks later at a spoken-word night downtown. He'd just performed a piece about generational trauma when she brushed past, perfume like vanilla and citrus, and said, "You make pain sound beautiful." Those words stayed with him. They stayed longer than applause, longer than drink specials or Instagram follows. She sat at his table, eyes soft, asking about his students, his writing, his dreams. When she recited one of his lines back to him from memory, he thought, this is it. Finally, someone who sees me. He never asked who had seen her before. Amara knew, from the first moments with both of them, that they were good men. Different kinds of good, but good all the same. And that, secretly, annoyed her. Her last relationships had been with men who cheated casually, lied poorly, and took more than they gave. Good guys scared her because they asked for depth, for vulnerability she'd locked away. So she did what she'd learned to do: keep things shallow by keeping things complicated. 2 men, 2 versions of herself. If they were busy fighting each other, they wouldn't look closely at her cracks. She kept Darius in the daylight. Saturday morning brunches, construction site tours where he showed her how buildings came alive from blueprints. She'd wrap her arm around his, admiring how small she felt next to him. He'd order for her, remembering she hated tomatoes and loved extra pickles. She called him my gentle giant and watched his face soften. With Darius, she played the supportive girlfriend, asking about his dreams of starting his own firm. "I believe in you," she'd say, kissing his knuckles, and she meant it, just not in the way he thought. She kept Malik in the evening. Late-night coffees after open mic nights. Conversations in dim lounges where candles flickered and the speakers hummed low. She'd lean forward, chin in hand, as he unpacked lesson plans and poems. He'd read her drafts, asking, "Is this too vulnerable?" And she'd shake her head, eyes glistening. With Malik, she played the muse, the soft-spoken woman who loved art and soul more than anything. "You're going to publish a book one day," she whispered, tracing circles on his wrist. She believed that too. But Malik wasn't the only story she was writing. For a while, it was easy to keep the worlds separate. Darius didn't go to poetry nights, Malik hated loud sports bars where construction guys unwound. Detroit was big enough if you knew where to hide. Amara managed schedules like campaigns. Tuesdays and Thursdays for Malik, Fridays and Sundays for Darius, Saturdays flexible, reserved for whoever made her feel most adored that week. She told herself she was just figuring things out. That exclusivity was a promise she hadn't made. Still, she saved each man's name in her phone with a different emoji, careful fingers dancing over lines. The first crack showed in a simple question. Darius, wiping grease from his hands after helping her change a tire, asked, "So, what do you usually do on Thursdays?" "I tried texting, but you were offline." Amara smiled, eyes crinkling, mind racing. "Thursdays are my self-care nights," she lied smoothly. "No phone, just candles, face masks, and Netflix." Darius chuckled. "You deserve it." Later that same Thursday, Malik would text her a poem draft, and she'd respond with a selfie from his couch, captioned, "My favorite part of the week." The lie tasted like sugar on her tongue. The unhealthy competition began with small, seemingly harmless comparisons. Amara would sign to phone with Darius, saying, my coworker remembered I liked lilies, not roses. It's funny what people notice, right?" His jaw tightened. He'd never forgotten flowers completely. He just hadn't known the type. With Malik, she'd mutter, "My friend helped me move my dresser without complaining. He's just so strong." Malik, who'd always hated gyms, suddenly downloaded a workout app. The men didn't know each other's names yet, only that there was someone else, some invisible standard they were failing. Darius responded first with money, overtime shifts, double weekends, extra projects. He bought Amara a delicate gold bracelet, the kind that caught the light and whispered her name. "You deserve nice things," he said, pressing the box into her palm. She drew in a sharp breath and kissed him like he'd handed her the world. With Malik, gifts were handmade. A chapbook of personalized poems, each page her name woven into metaphors about constellations and river currents. She cried reading them, real tears sliding down carefully contoured cheeks, thinking they'd probably both hate me if they knew. It escalated when she started posting. Photos of anonymous forearms holding her waist, captions like, "When a man works hard for you, treat him right," or pictures of annotated poems with the words blurred, comments reading, "Find someone who understands your soul language." Darius's co-workers teased him, nudging his phone. "That you?" they asked. He nodded, pride and anxiety wrestling in his chest. Malik's friends turned phones to him, saying, "Bro, this gotta be you. Look at those metaphors." He smiled weakly. Neither man noticed how carefully cropped every frame was, how no full face ever appeared. The hate grew quietly, like mold in the dark. Darius began resenting whoever this unseen, soft-handed, metaphor-writing man was. He imagined a skinny dude in turtlenecks who'd never lifted a brick, sweet-talking his woman. Malik started resenting whatever blue-collar, hyper-masculine guy Amara alluded to, the one who always showed up and handled things. He saw some big, loud man who thought poetry was pointless. Neither of them accused Amara directly. They didn't want to seem insecure. Instead, they worked harder, bent farther, tried to compete with a ghost whose shadow she kept stretching. Amara watched the tension she'd stirred like a scientist observing an experiment. She told herself she hadn't forced either man to stay. They could leave any time. Still, when messages came in hours apart, Darius sending a picture of packed lunch he'd made for her, Malik emailing a new poem draft titled The Only One. Her chest tightened. Sometimes guilt formed a lump in her throat. She'd swallow it down with wine and affirmations about keeping her options open. What she wouldn't admit, even to herself, was that their competition made her feel valuable in a way healing never had. The first time the men almost crossed paths, it happened by accident. Darius surprised her outside her office with flowers one Friday. Malik just happened to be in the same building for a teacher training workshop. Amara saw Malik step off the elevator as Darius turned onto the hallway, his boots echoing. Panic flared. She faked a coughing fit, turning her face away. "Baby, you okay?" Darius asked, hand hovering. "I'm fine," she croaked, grabbing his wrist and yanking him toward the stairwell. Malik, Earbuds in, walked right past the empty reception desk, never noticing the bouquet disappearing around the corner. That narrow escape shook her, but it also tempted her to push boundaries further. If she could keep them apart under that pressure, she thought, surely she could handle anything. She began designing tests, though she never called them that aloud. With Darius, she complained about her rent increasing, watching his brow furrow as he calculated. "I'll cover the difference until you get your promotion," he said quietly. With Malik, she sighed about feeling emotionally misunderstood. He stayed up until 3 a.m. writing her a series of letters, each one unpacking his feelings like fragile glass. Their lives shrank around her. Darius skipped card nights with his cousins to take her on last-minute dates. Malik stopped accepting invites to karaoke just in case she needed to talk. Each man started disliking parts of himself he used to love. Darius felt clumsy when she praised emotional vulnerability she got elsewhere. Malik felt weak when she posted about men who handle business. They were no longer just competing with each other. They were competing with the versions of manhood she hinted she wanted that week. And still, she was texting someone else altogether after midnight. Jordan entered the picture quietly. An older black man in his mid-40s with salt and pepper curls and easy, expensive smile. He worked in upper management at a marketing firm that occasionally partnered with Amara's clients. Where Darius brought warmth and Malik brought words, Jordan brought status, rooftop reservations, weekend trips, gifts that came in small boxes from big-name jewelers. He liked power, control, and aesthetics. He hated drama that touched his name. Amara told herself she felt truly seen only with him. No need to curate, no need to teach. He existed already at the level she'd built in her head. With Jordan, there was no competition, at least not that she had to organize. He existed above the fray, like a god she secretly worshipped. While Darius and Malik broke their backs and bared their souls, Amara was using late-night phone-off excuses to slip into Jordan's sleek condo, city skyline glittering behind them. He knew she was dating, but he didn't ask details. "You'll choose eventually," he'd say, tipping her chin up. The more she tasted that lifestyle, the pettier the men's sacrifices began to feel. Gratitude curdled into irritability. Their devotion became weight, holding her down. The brutal confrontation came on a rainy Saturday outside a downtown lounge. Amara had double-booked herself, promising Darius a real conversation at 7, then telling Malik she wanted to hear his new poem in person at 8, same location. She miscalculated traffic and how much each man had boiled in his private jealousy. Darius arrived early, pacing under the awning, bouquet wilting. Malik showed up 15 minutes later, clutching a leather notebook. They locked eyes slowly, confusion morphing into cold understanding as Amara stepped out of a rideshare, froze, and whispered, "Oh, no." Too late. "What is this?" Darius asked, voice low, thunder rolling in his chest. Malik's fingers tightened around his notebook. "You must be the friend who always shows up." "Huh," he said, sarcasm sharper than he intended. Rain tapped a frantic rhythm on the sidewalk. Amara tried to wedge herself between them, hand on each chest, but months of resentment had already found their footing. Words flew first. Liar, clown, fool, aim at each other, not her. When Darius stepped forward, Malik shoved him back, years of swallowed anger suddenly clawing free. Someone inside yelled call security as fists rose. The fight was ugly, desperate, and short. Two black men who might have been brothers in another life, swinging at each other in the rain. Knuckles splitting, shoulders slamming against soaked brick. Amara screamed until her voice cracked. Security burst through the doors, separating them with practiced roughness. "Take that mess somewhere else," one bouncer barked. Darius's lips bled. Malik's I was already swelling. They each tried to speak to Amara at once, but she pulled back, mascara streaked. "I can't do this," she choked, backing toward the curb. "Both of you, just leave me alone." Then she disappeared into the night. For days, the men sat with their bruises and broken illusions. Darius stared at his reflection, hating the ugly rage in his own eyes more than the cut on his lip. Malik iced his face, rereading old poems and feeling nauseous. Both tried calling Amara. Her phone went straight to voicemail. In the silence, fragments of conversations resurfaced. His name almost said where it didn't belong, suspicious overlaps in timelines, cryptic social media posts suddenly obvious. It dawned on him slowly, then all at once. This hadn't been an accident, a one-time mistake. They had been pitted against each other like props. The final confirmation came from a mutual acquaintance neither knew they shared. Amara's co-worker, Tasha, taught part-time at Malik School and had a cousin on Darius's crew. Over lunch, she listened in disbelief as both men, separately, described the same woman, the same apartment, the same self-care Thursdays. Tasha wasn't vindictive, but she believed in informed choices. She quietly put 2 and 2 together, then 3 and 4, and arranged a meeting. "Y'all need to talk," she told them in a group text, dropping a location and time. Curiosity and wounded pride dragged them there. Sitting across from each other in a nearly empty diner, Malik and Darius finally compared notes. Dates, phrases, little lies that lined up like terrible poetry. At first, anger flared toward each other again, but exhaustion smothered it. "We beat each other up while she was probably with someone else," Malik said, voice hollow. Darius exhaled, rubbing his temples. "Man, I hated you and didn't even know you." Silence stretched before them, thick and uncomfortable. Then a different kind of anger rose, heavier and colder, directed at the woman who'd watched them bleed for her entertainment. Revenge wasn't their first idea. At least that's what they told themselves later. Initially, they just wanted closure, an apology, an acknowledgement of the harm. But when Malik discovered a hidden folder on social media, tagged only to close friends, showing Amara at fancy restaurants and rooftop bars with Jordan, laughing in ways neither man had seen, their hurts sharpened. Captions like, "Played chess while they played checkers," and "Men will embarrass themselves for you if you let them," shattered whatever sympathy remained. Pain twisted into something mean. "She doesn't get to walk away untouched," Darius muttered. Their plan was meant to scare her, not destroy her. At least that's how they rationalized it. Darius knew a security guard at a rooftop bar where Amara liked to go with clients. Malik knew her schedule from countless busy texts. They arranged for Jordan and several co-workers to be invited to a fake, exclusive networking event, then planned to confront her publicly with screenshots, timelines, and the truth. "We'll hit her where it hurts, her image," Malik said. "No hands, no threats, just exposure." Darius agreed, convincing himself this was justice, not cruelty dressed up as righteousness. The night of the confrontation, the rooftop hummed with low music and city lights. Amara arrived in a sleek emerald dress, face beat, confidence high, Jordan at her side. She didn't see Darius and Malik at first, lurking by the bar. When they stepped forward, holding printed screenshots, her smile faltered. Voices rose, accusations flying. Jordan's face darkened as each receipt landed. Amara's composure cracked. She stepped back, heels skidding on the slick tile near the glass railing. Someone jostled someone else. No one would ever agree on the exact sequence. Her ankle twisted. She tumbled sideways into a glass table. The shattering sound silenced the rooftop. Amara's scream cut off as she hit the floor, shards spraying like rain. Blood bloomed in thin lines across her face. Not gory, but horrifying enough, especially the jagged cut that sliced from her cheekbone toward her jaw. People rushed forward. Darius's stomach dropped. Malik's hands shook. They hadn't meant this. Sirens wailed minutes later. At the hospital, doctors saved her life, but the scars remained, warping the face she'd used like a weapon. Darius and Malik faced legal consequences, and their own guilt. In the end, all three carried scars, some visible, some not. Proof that when love becomes a competition, everyone loses. If you enjoyed this story, please comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.